Okay. Just wanted to make sure I was sharing.
Sure.
Okay. The purpose of our meeting is really just to connect with others. This is a brand new way for all of us to teach and learn and be teachers. And it's really just a time to be a practice for how we're going to do this for the rest of the school year. So we want to have this method to communicate and brainstorm and just really make a community of teachers together, because without this method of getting together, it's going to be super hard for this just to be a way of life for us right now. So that's kind of our purpose in having this first virtual meetup. We're going to try to have one at least once a week. It will probably be on Tuesday afternoons from 2 to 3, and I'll send out the Zoom links always. I'm going to try to do some Facebook Lives if that's a possibility. So we're going to try and use every way that we can just to be able to communicate and brainstorm together. So one thing that we're going to talk about is, what is distance learning? What does that look like for us moving forward? And not just us in Oklahoma, but really students around the nation. What does that look like to us as just educators? How is this going to work for us in our new space in the world? I think Sharon just sent out the link to the agenda. So if you go to the chat box, you should be able to click on that, and it will open up Tuesday. I said Tuesday. It will open up the agenda, so you should be able to access the agenda and follow along with it. I see lots of little dots coming up, so I know people are accessing that.
It says Melissa waiting, so I wonder if she can't get in.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about is, what is distance learning?
Okay, I'm so sorry. We have several people on my FaceTime from OSE who are not able to get into our into our call. So I was trying to make sure that they were here, because I'm sure they'll be able to answer questions. But yes, so distance learning, I mean, we just want to remember that this isn't necessarily technology. Distance learning aims to provide continuous learning from April 6th to the end of the school year. So we're talking about facilitating instruction from far away, not necessarily just doing online school for the rest of the year, just facilitating enrichment and learning from a distance.
So it may or may not include technology. And one of the things that I think is just important for all of us to know is what the district decisions are versus the State Department decisions. And I know that everybody really is anxious to get started, because that's the nature of pre-K and kindergarten teachers. We just want to know, because they're our babies, and we want to get back with them, and we want to provide the best that we can. But here are some things that are district decisions that your district will be making and sharing that information out with you. And they may not have shared this yet, because the reason we had the 2 weeks is to give districts time to kind of figure it out. So some of the district decisions will be the content that you use, the topics, the standards, how many subjects a day they're going to ask students to be a part of, the amount of learning time, the time on task, what does that look like, the curriculum, that's completely a district decision, how the lessons are going to look, and activities. The delivery method, I know there's been on the questions, there were a lot of people were very, very concerned about connectivity and the delivery method, what's that going to look like in places that maybe don't have great internet connectivity. I grew up in a small town, so I noticed someone said if it rains, sometimes we don't have internet, and I do remember that. So that delivery method is going to be particular to your school setting. And grading. How are we going to grade the work? That was a lot of questions on how that grading is going to look. So that's probably going to be that, or not probably, that is going to be a district decision.
So sorry. And then we're going to really be maintaining and continuing learning to prevent a summer slide. I mean, that's your goal at this point, is to enrich, to maintain learning, and you know, just continue on with what you've done for this whole year. I mean, remember that they've had excellent instruction up, you know, until this point, and you're just going to continue everything, all the learning that's been done, and try to maintain that.
So one of the things that I think is really important to talk about is what does our school day look like? It's not going to be a regular school day where it's not going to be the time of day on school tasks may vary by family, depending on if the family members are working. You know, they may do their school tasks in the evening. They may not do their school tasks in the morning. And the time probably is going to be much shorter. The time that they're going to spend on tasks is going to be a lot shorter. When you think they probably have a couple of kids at home, it's going to take them much less time to get through lessons and things that are prepared for them than it would to get through a full class. So that's going to be something that's just going to look different. And the number of subjects per day is probably going to look much different than it typically would in our regular school day. It's just going to be different. This is just a new time.
And we definitely wanted to take a minute and talk about teacher self-care and taking care of yourself. I keep putting myself in this position. If I were the teacher, what would I need to be doing and worrying about? And if I were the parent, so I was thinking back to experience we had in our family. So I have a 21-year-old daughter who's great. And when she was in February of her 7th grade year, she got very ill and we had to go homebound. She was a very healthy girl. And then within 2 weeks, not able, so weak that she couldn't walk across the room. And so I had similar concerns as most of our families do about how are we going to get through school? I have to work, her health. And there were 3 things that my school district did for us that really made all the difference in the world. And I thought I would just share that with you. Number 1, they reminded me, and this is important for you, that our physical and mental well-being is number 1. Okay, so I tended to get very overwhelmed with what are we going to do about school while she's ill or while we're out. And they just reminded me, sometimes very bluntly, that I needed to take care of my physical well-being and hers. Make sure you get a vegetable on that plate, that you get some physical activity, and that you're taking care of yourself, and that our mental and emotional state also needed to be taken care of. Do your best to connect with others and to, you know, meditate or pray or whatever you do. Laugh. And this is a huge loss for you all. I can't, it's hard to even imagine what would happen, you know, to know that you're not going to go back and see your kids. So, you know, cry, talk, do what you need to do to make sure that you're taken care of. So first and foremost, make sure that you're taking care of your mental and physical well-being. And when you talk to your families, remind them of that. You know, the first thing we need to make sure is that we're taking care of ourselves. The second thing that my school did for me that was so important was they gave me a person to connect with. So we had a homebound teacher. I had that teacher's cell phone. I knew that I could contact her if I had any questions. my questions ranged from just a simple assignment to sometimes she just totally had to talk me off the ledge when I was really overwhelmed. So we need you to be that person for your family, somebody that they can connect with, but you also need to make sure you find somebody that can be that person for you, whether that's a teammate or, you know, an administrator, somebody that can help you answer your questions and to kind of talk you through it if this gets really overwhelming as it will. So we're taking care of our physical and emotional well-being. We're making sure to connect and have a person that we can talk to answer our questions. And then the third thing, as far as education, I needed to really know, I was an early childhood teacher, she was in 7th grade. I really needed to know what the educational essentials were. What did we need to do every day to maintain her learning? And then on top of that, were there other things? So if we were having a bad day, sometimes we just did what we had to do. But if we were having a better day, what other options did we have? So making sure that your families know, you know, we really need to do these every day, and here are some other things that you can do. So just in all of the things you're going through, make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're disconnecting when you need to. You're connecting when you need to. You're taking care of your body. That you have a person that you can call, and that you make sure that you, I got muted. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. So sorry. I keep going on mute for some reason. And then finally, just making sure your families know what they can do at home to maintain their learning. What are those essential things? And then, you know, what are some other things that they can do? So you just want to make sure that you're taking care of each other and taking care of families. Oh, and I should have put the bullet. There's really no right or wrong at the end of this. We're all going to think of things that we should have done differently, but it's new for all of us. So give yourself some grace and just take a deep breath and, you know, do your best, learn some new things.
So sorry, I had myself on mute at that point. Okay, so we are going to do something, and I'm going to send everybody into a chat room. So you should have, it will pop up on your computer that you're going to enter a chat room. So I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to be in a chat room discussion. It's going to separate you out into smaller groups. So if you're able to access the agenda, on the agenda, it has some questions. Somebody highlighted them. Thank you, Lauren. These are some questions for you to discuss in the chat room. What is your district plan? Do you even know your district plan? What plans do you have for supporting instruction? Sharon and I have talked last night, today, and we know, because you are amazing teachers, that you probably do have something in mind, a way that you are wanting to reach out to them. So what are your plans for doing that? What are some of the tasks that you are thinking about sending to families? I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you have ideas in your mind that you are thinking about doing, and you have something percolating in your mind, because we're all, that's just our nature. And then what are some ideas that you can take from the chat discussion and apply them back? So if you are able, there is a survey linked in the chat. If Sharon or Lauren will access that survey and drop that link into the chat, I'm going to ask one person to complete this survey. So I'm going to send you to Breakout Room, and it's gonna assign you into 4 or 5 people in a room. And it's just going to automatically do that. So you should see this in just a second. And I'll be hopping off and on in different breakout rooms. to just to kind of check in with you. Okay, has everyone had that pop up to join a breakout room? I see a lot of people joining.
Click on yourself, click on your
Whoops.
on your or your box, and at the bottom it'll come up start. Sorry, the host told me to ask for you because I couldn't get my thing unmuted. So
Okay. Okay, go to the bottom. I see the bottom. And click on,
Yes.
what should I click on?
Start video.
Participant, share screen, chat, record, ask for help, reactions, leave breakout, stop video. There's an option for stop video, but
Who can't hear? Is it they can't hear or they can't?
well, my picture's not showing up. I'm just a black screen.
Are you Valerie?
My webcam is open. My webcam is open. I can barely hear you talking right now. Let me turn the volume up. But other than that, I can hear you, I can see you, but I don't think you can see me. I'm just showing up as a blank screen.
Are you Debbie or Valerie?
I'm Valerie.
Okay, well, we can hear you, Valerie, even if we can't see you. So I'm going to go ahead and let y'all have your chat. And because even if we can't see you, we can sure hear your voice. And let y'all go ahead and talk about the towns you're from and if your district has any plans. I mean, just go ahead and start. I don't know why. I don't know why, because it says your video is showing, but I don't know why. So I'm going to go ahead and hop out of your breakout room and let y'all go ahead and do your conversations.
Okay.
I think. Lord knows, I hope I can get out of this. Yeah.
I'm so glad I'm gonna.
There we go.
Hey guys, if you are not able to get to a chat room, I'm going to post the chat room questions and the link in the chat box. I'm sorry, to a breakout room. I'm just posting it in the chat box. So you should be able to kind of navigate your way there. And I'm going to put the link to the question submission in the chat box and let you go ahead and do that. I'm so sorry. Hey guys, kind of like your kids, we are at about 5 minutes till we're going to send everybody back out of their chat rooms or breakout rooms, and we're going to come back together on the main call. If you have designated someone to complete the survey link in the chat, if that person would go ahead and navigate over, and I will repost that address in the chat box. So everybody has that. There is that link for everybody. If they are posting something, we will go ahead and do that. I see a couple of questions I'm going to try and answer. That we'll be answering in just a second about some FAQs. Okay, I heard someone say, I saw in the chat box, they said they can't hear. I have my phone a little bit farther away, sorry. Hoping that everybody can hear now. And Lauren, if you can send everybody in about 3 minutes out of the breakout room back into the general, that would be wonderful. Okay, I think we're all back in our main conversation. I am sharing my screen again. I saw somebody ask if I could get back to the main screen so they could have the agenda, and I will post a link for that again in the chat box. So we have that information. If Sharon or Lauren could post the link to the agenda in the chat box, that would be wonderful. I know a lot of people have said, can you unmute us? And there's about 300 people on the call. So if I unmute, it unmutes everybody. So we're just going to really super use the chat box to record questions. And then I'll try to get back with as many people as quickly as possible. I would also remind you, if you have a specific question, if you'll submit that in the Q&A that I asked, and I think everybody has that link, but we'll make sure you have that also. So I saw just a lot of questions about paper and information about what that looks like. So I'm going to navigate over to a frequently asked question that's right here. And I have that pulled up. So it's about 20 pages long. It was updated last night. This is just available on the State Department website. I also posted it in the Early Childhood Facebook group. I'll post this again in the chat box, so everybody has a link to that as well. But there's just a lot of answers in this about paper and could the virus be passed, and just a lot of answers in that. So this morning, Sharon and I think, Sharon, did you find that on page 10, you said? The bottom of page 10?
Yes, if you look at the bottom of page 10, it talks about paper packets.
So there's kind of your answer for a lot of people asking about paper packets. So this is from the World Health Organization, so, or sometimes they call it WHO. Based on the information from the World Health Organization, yes, that is something that could be an option. In the chat box, I saw a lot of people sharing the ways that their districts were considering using that. I know the feeding lines are an option for families for a distribution point. I saw several people mention that in that was the way that their school districts were considering getting out packets for people. And I posted the link to this FAQ because there's literally, I mean, it's a lot of information in here just about safety and how do we get things to kids, how can people get internet, how can we communicate with our staff, just a lot of information in this. So I think if you have some super specific questions, if you'll post those in the chat, we can try to find an answer for that. But this has a lot of information, including student assessments, end of year for RSA screenings have been waived, the state testing program, just a ton of information in this FAQ. So a lot of things that I know I was initially very stressed about, honestly, a lot of that is in this FAQ. It talks about the coronavirus, the cessation of operations, what is the role of the school board, when can you get back to your workplace and campus, what does the calendar year look like, assessments and school accountability. If you have an 8th grader, there's some information on the 8th grade reading tests in the FAQs. How is funding? How are we going to take attendance? Teacher certification, students with disabilities, child nutrition, which our school districts around the state have done just an amazing job feeding our kids. And I got a message this morning. A teacher said, I have to do the pickup line for the child nutrition today, so I can't join the call. So I know lots of you have been taking part in that, and I see those pickup lines and our cooks and our teachers passing out those, and it makes me cry every time I see those. I just appreciate that so much. And guidelines for student privacy, how are we going to take care of that? And ensure that everyone's FERPA is followed for everyone. So that is one of the things that we have as well. Sorry, people are still, I'm so sorry, there are people still in the breakout room. Let me see. Let me see if I can put that fixed. Karen, I'm going to turn it over to you, and then I'm going to work on the breakout rooms.
Okay, and I was just going to say, I'm working through the chat, looking at some questions. I'm going to be honest, Melissa, do you happen to know if the FAQs are in Spanish?
I don't think they have had a chance to be translated.
Okay, I don't think these FAQs are in Spanish yet, just because they're being changed literally on a daily basis. So I don't know that they've been able to do that. We do have some questions about contacting families if they don't have internet. I mean, my suggestion would be phone if they have it. If you are in an area where your families don't have
let me try it.
found ways to communicate with them, please put that in the chat box. Still looking up, can't hear. Okay. And I did post a little message that if you're not on it, we have a Facebook page that is #OKEarlyEd, and Jennifer's been very diligent about posting all of these things in that Facebook page. So if you're not a member, I would encourage you to do that. Let's see. Yeah, there was a question. I'm wondering too, if we wear gloves that are not infected, can we do packets? I mean, look at those FAQs on the end at the bottom of page 10. It talks about that. Okay, parents' phone numbers have been disconnected. I'm also wondering, you know, if you're serving food, you know, at your districts, is that a place where that you can connect safely? Print. Also would like to.
I know some districts, and again, I know districts are just like us. We're trying to learn to swim when we've been thrown in the deep end of the swimming pool. I know some districts are looking at using their school buses as virtual hotspots and making a hotspot for kids that they would still be able to have that social distancing, but provide some breakout and some hotspots for them in that way. So I know that's an option, because I know that that is a concern for everyone. Just, it is a big concern for everyone, the connectivity of the of kiddos.
Yes, and as I'm looking through the chat, I haven't thought of this, but I guess we could think about mail, actual letters and stamps, if all else failed. But yes, and I think also I'm continuing to look through the comments. Please give yourself some grace. I know as teachers, we really like to have everything prepared and ready and know exactly what we're talking about. And I just don't know that we can do that in this case. So, you know, do the best you can with what you know and what you have. And as we continue through this and learn, we'll continue to share. Trying to pick up line. Yep, kids love receiving mail. there was a question about budget, and Jennifer's probably good to answer this too. I mean, that's up to that would be a district decision. I'm not quite sure how they would use their funds, but it might be something that you talk to your administration about.
So I see a question about how to break down the school day. So I'm going to first talk really quickly, kind of address the budget issue. That really is going to be a school by school decision, or district, district, school, site, whatever. But I will say this. I know that principals are grappling just as much as we are with how to get this done and how to get it into the hands of as many people as humanly possible. I know when I was a teacher and a principal, I think I sent out reams of paper, please update your information card so we know how to get in touch with you. So we spent a lot, we try as hard as we can to get that information to as many people as we can. And, families that have disconnected numbers or whatever, they're not doing that because, I mean, it is as frustrating to administration and teachers and as it is to parents, because that is a big part of a way to get information to people, and they know that just as well. So as far as budgets for stamps and whatnot, I think that would be a district decision. I will say this, there probably is a little more flexibility in budgets because we're not going to in school buildings, so that's always a thought. So someone asked, will the results of these surveys be posted somewhere? So yes, we are still getting lots of submissions on that. So I'm going to try and separate them into categories and answer, if we get a lot of questions about schedules, I'm going to try and separate them. And I will send this back out to everyone. If you do not get the early childhood newsletter, I will post a link to subscribe to that because I send out a lot of information there. And as soon as I send it out in the newsletter, I try to post that newsletter as quickly as possible in Facebook groups, in the Facebook group as well. If you're on Twitter, I also post it on Twitter. So we're going to work on getting those out as quickly as possible. About scheduling. So it's probably going to look very different. I would say I'm going to show you a document that I'm going to kind of skip through this. Sharon's going to come back and talk about that in just a second. But I'm going to show you a document that you will have access to and your district will have access to very, very quickly. And this just is a distance learning, a place you can find it digitally, and just some information that that may help. So I'm just going to take a minute. Typically speaking, I wouldn't read through it because I feel like we can all read a program, but I am going to take just a second because we're just in such a new space and we're coming up on time. So I want to be very aware that we're about 9 minutes away from the end of this call. So here's some questions to consider. How can they be given opportunities to help them continue to grow and learn? So we're going to ask families to read a variety of books or other materials to foster that love of learning. Basically, ask students to retell. We're going to have them count objects around the house because we know they don't have counting cubes. Practice those fine and gross motor skills by copying shapes, coloring, provide opportunities to engage in investigative play by building block towers or making shapes with Play-Doh. We know how important that is to have those fine and gross motor activities. And we really want to convey that message to parents that play is a big part of their day, and that's okay. I would encourage you when you're sending guidance to offer to basically explain to parents what that small motor play looks like, putting together Legos, playing with Play-Doh, using tongs to pick up cotton balls, just things that they would have around the house, even though I know Play-Doh is banned in many homes because it sticks in carpet so bad. So, I know that. Just what does that small motor play look like? And then what does big body play look like? That play can be a part of the day. They can let them go outside and run around in the backyard or walk down to the park, that big body play. So we're getting both kinds of that in their day. I know that parents probably don't see this as a big part of our learning day, but we know how important that providing helping behaviors at home and really conveying to families how important that is for social and emotional. Here's some helping them write and encouraging them to have imaginative or dramatic play. This is something that really we want to keep in our classrooms, but at home, that dress-up play or putting on a show or just all of those things are super important. One of the things I think parents are going to think is that we're going to maybe send them 6 hours of work, and it probably is going to look different than other grades. They just have to be engaged, and there may not be a lot of papers to turn back in. There could be, but there may not be. How can they share their learning? Definitely, one of my grandkids is in Texas, and they started distance learning last week. She wrote me a note and sent me a picture of it. So that was one of her assignments from her teacher. How will they receive feedback? I know there's been a lot of questions about that. If you want to respond, maybe they can, if they have connectivity, they can take a picture and send it to you. I mean, just a lot of ways. Really, this is the time we're so outside the box. This is the time to really think about, okay, we may not be grading all of it. Some practical advice, as you begin this journey, identify the supports with the structures and within your school family. If something doesn't work, give yourself permission to say it's okay. Here is a sample structure for learning. About 15 minutes of read aloud and literacy skill with a reading task and or a writing, a math lesson, about 15 minutes of a reading skill practice. And then I just really want to emphasize how important that this is to convey out to our families. Yes, I see a lot of people asking, can we have access? Who will have access to this? I'm sorry, it's just, this is literally the first draft. It's like hot off the press. You were the first people in the state to see it. Some example activities, you have sent us some that we will be adding to this as soon as possible. We have a couple of things listed. There are some live links in here. The science activities are absolutely awesome. I want to thank my boss for including those. Here's the early childhood community survey, which is what you did in the breakout rooms. Here's just some ideas for literacy. These are, I know you have a million better ideas than I had. I do really love this Zoo Phonics because it does have Spanish, and it's a great resource. Here is a site for library books that they can have some books as well, because I know most of the public libraries are closed. Here's just some easy math activities. I think for families, one of the most important things is to have activities that they will be able to do. These are some great instructional resources for the EL families. I would really encourage everyone to access Colorin Colorado. I know it looks like it's spelled wrong, but that honestly is it. It has tons of resources for EL students and families. Open Phys Ed has some big body play activities that are great and easy to use. Vroom, if you've never done that, it is an app, or they can log in. It gives them specific ideas by age. So it's great for social and emotional and conversations and learning activities for the family. So stay connected. You are not alone. I just want to reinforce that. There are tens of thousands of teachers around the state and nation who are collaborating. It has a link again for the newsletter. I'm going to try and send that out just as much as humanly possible. You'll probably be like, quit sending me emails. I'm going to stop right here and give everybody a moment to, if you want to take a picture of this with your phone. We are going to host virtual meetings every Tuesday from 3 to 4. And this will be the information every time. I'm going to tell you, our room filled up really fast today. We're hoping to expand our access, so we'll be able to let more people in. If you are on Facebook, here are some great groups to follow. We are trying to make sure that all of the resources that Sharon posts, Melissa posts, that we really vet those resources. I saw someone in the chat mention, there are only 30-day subscriptions. They're very short subscription times. So I just want to say this. The sources that we are posting in these Facebook groups, we are really vetting for how long they're free. Is it appropriate even if they are free? So before you share resources with families, I would just say really look and see. But these are some great spots that we're vetting them.
And
so,
I want to say, I was just going to say in the chat, there were some questions about this. A document like this will be available for all grade bands. And just know that there will probably be other resources coming out, just like you all. OSDE is working pretty much 24/7 to put things together and get it updated and finalized and checked and vetted. So just be watching for the Zoom calls and Facebook sites. I think you're on mute, Jennifer.
I am on mute, sorry. Lauren just posted, I think, Lauren, will you repost the document for everybody? I'm getting a lot of private messages. Can you repost that?
Yes, and can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
And these will also be available on that general COVID site from the SDE later today. This is just, since your meeting was early, we wanted to go ahead and share this with you here, but you'll have access to all of them all together on that COVID site later, hopefully this morning.
Okay. So I am going to stop sharing, I hope, and it's back to me in my extra room. I just want to say we're at time, so there's been a lot of questions, and I'm going to stay open for a few minutes so everyone can get back in the chat. And if there's some links you want to copy or something you want to check on, or I see messages just walking in. I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much. I see so many kind messages in the chat box, and I cannot tell you how much we appreciate that kindness that you're sharing back with us, because this is a very hard time for everybody, and we are here for you. And I cannot emphasize enough, if you have a question, please reach out to us via email. Lauren, would you be able to type in your email as well, Sharon?
Yes.
Just so we have that included in the chat box. I appreciate that so much. We will have this document available, and I am working frantically with Lauren and Sharon to get information out to you. And just know that we are here for you. We will answer emails as quickly as possible. But I'm going to close with this. I was an early childhood principal, and I said this probably 100 times to my staff. If we want grace, we have to give grace. And this is one of the biggest times of all for everyone to have grace. And I'm going to give everybody on this phone call, and I want you to share this with your coworkers. Everybody is having a bit of grace. We know how important we are, and we feel that pressure, but I want you to just be reassured that we're going to get through this together. It's going to look very, very different, but we're all in this together. I really wanted to play that song, but my sister said High School Musical was out, and no cool kids did that anymore. So I just want you to know we are all in this together, and we will be here to support you as quickly as we can get the things sorted into a more manageable form. We will get that out to you, and that's all I have to say. Lauren and Sharon, do you have anything?
No, I posted the agenda again, and our emails are in there, so please let us know.
Yeah, thank you for everyone. We know you're working so hard.
Yeah.
And you have been a wonderful community for each other and for us today, so thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, I am going to sign off, and I hope everyone has an absolutely wonderful weekend. And it's supposed to be pretty, so I'm going to take a walk and go drop off some food at some people's house and social distance. So for everybody that is not an introvert like me, the extroverts, I know you are dying because you miss your people. But please join our Facebook group, and I will see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
I may call you. Oh.